I've been doing graffiti since 1989. Around 1998, I kind of slowed down because there was a lot of removing like of the graffiti throughout the town. And I was getting a little older. I had a car at the time, so I would still do graffiti a little bit, but it wasn't like how I was in the earlier days, right? So I kind of took like a little break. 2003, I get invited to the walls on I-95 that you can see off of the expressway on I-95 in Wynwood. And at the time, it was a project that my friend was putting together. It was for, I don't know if you remember Altoids candy.
Sure.
So it was sponsored by Altoids. They gave us all the paint to paint it. Some of us got paid, some of us didn't. And that was one of the first um um with a big corporation being sponsored to do murals. So then from fast forward from 2003 to like around 2008, I'm kind of trying to figure out like how do I how do I how do I put everything that I've learned in graffiti on a painting, on a canvas. I tried. So I start off on wood panels, right? Wood plywoods that we had taken down like during the hurricane, some of the hurricanes we were short on wood, so we would take those big advertisements that people would put for like the construction sites. We would take those off, right? And so I bring those home, and I try to do some paintings on that. So, but it was mostly like graffiti pieces, but kind of like zoomed in where you see stuff. So going into 2000 and I couldn't figure that out. So going into 2008, 2007, 2008, I'm driving around town with my friend Shy from the crew that I'm a part of called the Inkheads. That we're known like back in the 90s, we were known internationally. Came out in many magazines like 12 Ounce Profit and Can Control and stuff like that. These were like underground graffiti magazines. They're, they they were, you would be able to get them within the culture or if you knew about them and stuff like that. So in 2007, 2008, I'm driving around with him. I'm older now. I'm thinking a little bit different. You know, I don't want to get in trouble for graffiti, but I still want to, incorporate my roots into pieces, to paintings. So I talked to him and I'm like, look, so I started to see all these graffiti removals around while I'm driving with him. And he's like, oh, maybe that's something you should study. Maybe that's where it's at, Jel. So then kind of made me think. So I started taking a lot of photos, a lot of photos. Then, I started saving a lot of photos, looking at them, studying them, going up to the wall, seeing how they removed this, trying to see if I can tell who was the one that tagged it before it got removed. So then 2008 is the beginning of Wynwood. I mean, prior to all this, we were painting in Wynwood when it was, a lot of warehouses and homeless people hanging out, and we would do a lot of productions out there, right? So then, fast forward to 2008, um, the Wynwood walls comes around, right? Prior to that, it was primary projects. Um, um, and they were bringing people from all over the world, and they were doing like an outdoor museum of street art, artists from around the world. And they started painting. This is all like after the 2003 at the Outward Walls. So like 2000, I don't know, maybe 2005, 2006, they started bringing in people and more artists. So that area starts to get known. So Tony Goldman kind of sees what's happening in Wynwood, and I think I'm not sure if I'm right or wrong on this one, but I think he had something to do with like the beginning of Soho, art scene. So he sees the opportunity to kind of create an art scene, kind of like gentrify the area a bit, like kind of like what's happening now. So I meet up with my friend in 2008 named Alan Benedict, from the founder of 12 Ounce Profit, which is a magazine very well known in the graffiti community. Had a probably one of the first online graffiti forums as well, um, called 12 Ounce Profit. 12 Ounce Profit stands because of how the meaning for that, from what I recall talking with him back then, because I was a big contributor to that magazine. As far as a little bit of writing, not too much, but mostly giving contributing photos that I had. So, the meaning of 12 Ounce Profit stands for, like not stands, but was for him was like kind of like, how do you how do you how can you um profit from the 12 ounces of paint in a can? Like, we were already doing it, but we weren't making no money. We're not, like, so how do you profit from that? So it was with the magazine. So then there was ads inside the magazine with different nozzles, people selling their cool shirts and stuff. So in 2008, he gives me a call and he told me, I'm gonna be in town. I'm gonna do photography for Tony Goldman for the Wynwood Walls. You want to meet me in Wynwood? So I go out there, I meet up with him, and the first person I meet is Tony Goldman, right? And Jeffrey Deitch, right? So I introduced myself. I talked to him. He's telling me that he's there, following them around, because he's a good professional photographer, right? So he's taking pictures of them, and another person that I meet as well is Martha Cooper. She was around at the same time, also taking photos. I'm not sure if she came maybe later after Alan or before, but I remember meeting her that year as well, because Alan had introduced me to her. So I meet Tony Goldman, and then they had, that year was the first year of Wynwood Walls, and it was being curated by Jeffrey Deitch. So Jeffrey brought a lot of the street artists that he knew, right? From what I recall, I believe that they say that Jeffrey Deitch was the one that named street like art on the street art. He's the one that kind of gave it that name exactly. I'm not sure if that's official, but so I started meeting all of the artists that they start bringing down. Some of them I already knew. So I meet Barry McGee, which is Twist, TWIST. I meet Los Gemios. I meet um, Nunca and Finoc and Isis from Brazil. And I also meet I meet a bunch of artists. So then at this time, I'm not getting paid for helping out, but I'm contributing, I'm kind of filling in, I'm helping out, I'm hanging out with them and stuff like that. So I end up running into Tony Goldman again, and I was pretty impressed, because first time I meet Tony Goldman, he remembered my name. He's like, "Oh, hey, Joe, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, wow, this guy, I mean, I just met him like a week ago, like, because this went on for a while before. This is like before our Bowser started, like probably 2 months before the whole art, the whole party started, right?" So I'm hanging out with Barry McGee, and he's doing his building, which was Panther Coffee at the time. And I remember he climbed on the roof, like towards the end when he finished his mural, and he put all our names on top of the roof. That building, if it's still there, our names are up there, right? So then I'm inside then moving a little forward, and I'm inside Wynwood Walls, closer to the last days of you know, like the whole weekend for the Art Basel, you know, event. And I'm hanging out with those Gemios and Nunca from Brazil. And then Tony Goldman's right-hand man, Marlo, which is he's the one that kind of was like, I guess, probably the director of operations or something, because he kind of like made sure that everything got done and all the machinery that they needed and all the paint and all that stuff was there. He saw me that I was doing a piece on a garbage can, right? Because and at that time I was doing a lot of little pieces all over Wynwood, and if he asked me if I can help Nunca finish his his piece, his big mural inside the Wynwood walls, right? And I go, sure, I'll help him out. And then Nunca was willing to allow me to help him. So that was like a start of a good friendship of a good friendship with Nunca, with Marlo as well, and being able to connect with the Wynwood walls. So I help him. He finishes his. He actually didn't finish the whole mural. That's why his name is Nunca. Like in Spanish, it's like never. You know. So he like never finished, right? And he's like kind of known for that, and it takes really long to finish. So I helped him. He left it off a little bit, you know, and I didn't get paid for that. But Art Basel's over, you know, maybe we're like in now, like in probably like February, March, something like that. You know, I get a message because I became friends with Nunca. We used to, keep in touch, and he's like, hey, they want me to paint this big mural on South Beach on the side of a building, and I'm gonna need an assistant, or somebody to help me, and if you're willing to help me out, and you're gonna get paid for it this time. So that was probably, I mean, I've gotten paid in the past, younger, for other smaller gigs, but as far as a big project, probably this is probably one of the first ones that I actually got paid for. And one of the first times also being on like one of those bamboo scaffolds and helping him paint that mural. We had a lot of fun painting that mural, and ever since that, then they kept calling me every time an artist came from out of town. So I was very fortunate to meet like Interesny Kasky, and work with them. I worked with them on a mural for like 45 days in Wynwood. I've also worked with I worked with various artists. Can't recall exactly the names right now, but it was interesting because I get to learn their techniques, you know, and in the graffiti world, everybody has different techniques, and every single one had a different one. So like, for instance, if something gets damaged, or somebody goes and takes a tag on top of their mural, you know, if I'm the one who was helping them at the time, they'd call me to go back and kind of, if they can't make it to restore it, I kind of go back and kind of restore it, because I know the technique they used to complete the mural.